Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Obviously, some of you don't know me, my name's Dre. What I'm going to be covering in this one is how to build a custom PC. I'll go over the simple processes of where I got the motherboard, I unbox it, I install the CPU in there, show you how to do that, apply thermal paste, put the fan on, put the DDR memory. You can do certain things on, but I'll show you the steps as we go through it. Also gonna put the M2 SSD hard drive in, put the screws and all of that. My power supply has already been put in, but that's simply just slotting in, putting 4 screws in to do that. Now that's gonna be part one. I'm obviously gonna have part two and whatnot. If you got any questions, you want to know anything, leave a comment down below. Let me know. I'll try to help you the best I can. And also don't forget to subscribe because I've got a lot of good content coming your way. Safe. Okay. See what goodies these come with. Always check for all of these guys, man, because if you're missing any of these, you're messed up. Alright, this here little screw should be in like the packets for all the motherboard. Remember, you can easily lose this. It will be for this, your SSD, to screw it to that motherboard, or it's just gonna keep cutting out. Obviously you got the badge for the motherboard, can stick that in your computer case. What's that? Oh, this for the graphic cards, one of the things they're putting in. Funny that, because that's the one I've got there. CDs, I'm thinking, wait, drivers and utility, manual, how the, oh, actually got a manual on that, how that goes in, SATA cable, so for your hard drive and that. Get 2 of these in a pack. This bit, now don't forget this bit, because it's very important you put this on your computer case before you forget. It's a nightmare. Look at that. Move the motherboard up here for a second. From looking at this already compared to my other one, this I'll have to take off for my CPU fan to sit on here. When taking it off, this should, yep, it's going to be a back plate. So when you're putting your fan on, you're going to have to make sure that back plate's there so you can screw the 4 screws in for the CPU fan. Otherwise it's not going to screw in. And then the DDR slot. No, let me just have a look at these. So ideally you got it says dimmer 1, dimmer 2, dimmer 1, dimmer 2. So from what I can tell without looking at the booklet, you should be using the 2 black ones because the 2 number ones first. With Intel you don't normally have these problems, you can use whatever slot, but I know AMD is a bit funny at times and they might not boot up and you get problems because it wants you to use the 2 black one first and then the 2 red ones. So alright, let's get going. Do these in any order. Memory I'm going to be putting on these guys. this one will be in the description, because I do remember where I bought these from Amazon. So I'll put the link in there in case you don't want to buy it or see exactly which one it is. Alright guys, when you look at these, you're going to be able to see this bit is longer than that bit, and they can only go in the slots one way. You have to open both of these clips on either side, and if you even just place it like that, you can see where the slot is, because you do not want to do this the wrong way. They only go in one way, and you can easily have a look how to do it. So now if you just pop that in and you press it, you'll hear it clip again. Long way, short way, just turn it that way. Open, open. Alright guys, this is what I was talking about. This comes out, obviously, so when you put the new CPU in, this is obviously going to have to slot back here, and then just place it here, and you can tell when it's lined in that here, because you can see it coming through. Now, there's going to be the important part, or if I should say, the part that can cost you money. Time and money. Let me just open this box. 1 second guys, got still on here. Okay guys, Ryzen 5 3600, 6 core, 12 thread processor, 4.2 GHz, 3.6 GHz as well. Alright, now I've heard a lot of good things about this furnace come with, because I have read a few reviews online. AMD are usually like the one I've always gone for AMD, because Intel is more like, to me, like an Apple. AMD to me, I look at it as something more beneficial and can do more things. That's going to be the fan. That's going to go on the CPU. Obviously be careful with this, because once you take this cover off, can you see that bit there in the middle? Don't touch it, that square. This CPU is going to sit under this. Now that's why you don't want to touch it. They've put just enough for you to put on your CPU to help keep the heat down. So if you start touching that and messing about with that, your CPU will overheat. Now, from my other build, I did, well, when I say my other build, this build with the other motherboard, I did buy these thermal grease from Amazon. Now, the reason I bought it is because it weren't working, it weren't turning on. I got a picture of the motherboard. It was the same CPU. It was actually a faulty motherboard. Wouldn't turn on, but because I took the fan off 2-3 times and putting it back on, the thermal tape was drying. I mean, the thermal glue was drying, or paste, if I should say, was drying out, and it was moving all around the edge. So I ended up buying these, because it'll cool down the CPU. It was only about 3-4 quid, and I got a whole load of them. I think 4 or 5. Let's pop in this CPU. I'm going to show you something very important here with the CPU, guys. Now, let me bring the motherboard up. When you're looking at the motherboard, you're going to have this bit. When you're going to have to lift this up all the way to 90 degree right there, so it'll be down, lift it up. Now the CPU is going to sit in this section here. Now bearing in mind, guys, the CPU can only go in one way. If you put it any other way, that's basically £200 down the drain, because it's got these delicate pins on here. Can you see that? It's got these delicate pins on here. Yeah, and it can only go in one way because you don't want to mess it up. If you look at it from the back, you see the gold in that corner. You see the gold in that corner there. You have to find, because obviously you've got the AMD and then that's on that side. So ideally, if you built it on here, on my other case I put it on this way, but because I put my memory on first, I've put this on, I screwed it. It's only when I was turning it on it weren't working, I realised, oh, I've got to take the memory out to do a few checks. Couldn't remove that one because the CPU AMD bit was actually covering it. So that's another reason I had to remove this a few times, and I ended up buying thermal paste. But the one thing I didn't pay attention to is it can go this way because of 4 screws like that, or it can go exactly this way. And the only thing you've got to think about is where this wire here goes. You see the pin? That will actually go up here. It will say CPU space FAN1, which means CPU fan number 1. Now on these you've got the screw that comes with it, springy screws, so it should have an auto stop thing so you know exactly when you need to stop screwing. See that perfectly in. Now, as before saying, this will go right here where it'll say CPU fan 1, and you can only put it in one way because you've got these plastic bits on here, so it won't allow it to go in any other way. Okay, so now one thing you're gonna have to realize with this board, it's got at the top here 8 pins CPU power. You're gonna have this on your power supply that comes with a computer case, so that's gonna connect to there. Then you're gonna have your main connection for the ATX. You've got the 20 and 24 pins and whatnot, but this connection will be this one. It's got that all these coloured wire onto it, and then you're gonna have this one which will be for the graphics card, and then this is the one I'm talking about, yellow and black. Might be different colours obviously, different with different power supply, but that one will be for the CPU up here. Okay, let's see how this is going to go. the computer case. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes. Okay. One last thing I've got to put on, or put in, if I should say. I'm gonna pop this little baby in for the camera. Guys, this is literally tiny. Obviously I've opened this before. It's like a, I wouldn't even say a pack of gun. It's like, look at this, 250 gig. This normally read your instruction, but this goes in at an angle. I think it's a 45, no, I think it's a 30-degree angle, or 45, but I'm sure it's a 30. This goes in like this, guys. Put in at that angle, and then you've got to press it here, and then you obviously put in a screw in to keep it in place. As you will be able to see, these are all got names on it. Where you can find out what's what, you can do two ways. One's obviously going to be in the manual, and what you're going to be connecting to those are these beautiful little babies. That's better. One of these came out, I don't know from which one. It's either going to be this one of the other ones. We'll find out when it turns on. Now obviously this section here, what you can see with the wires and that comes with the desktop computer, because it's got RGB color flashing lights. So that comes with the PC. Then what I've done is I've connected this from the power supply to it, so it'll power all those wires. So that can go underneath because we know it's connected. And then the wires is actually connected to, because if you see on top of the computer here, you've obviously got the buttons, USB, and then when you inside here it's got like the SD card slot and whatnot. So all of those wires, or all of those buttons and ports, comes here and here. So you're just gonna connect all of these through. That's gonna be the USB 3 wire. That's gonna be very noticeable, that you can easily plug in. You're gonna have things like on here, you've got USB. If you look on the motherboard, it should say things like JUSB 1, JUSB 2 for 1 and 2. because obviously I've got USB card reader, so you know it's the one with the SD card reader. So I'd recommend you probably put the USB in the top one as the first one, and the card reader as USB 2 on the motherboard. Then you're gonna have these little ones where I've got power switch, HD, LED, plus minus, and then I've got like power LED plus minus on this board. Let me see where it will be. Hold on. Plus minus.